Well, believe it or not, it is bulb planting time for me here in Central Arkansas, Zone 7B. Come and join me. Hey guys, welcome back to Horticulture Geek. I'm Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today here on the channel. And you heard me correctly. For me here in Central Arkansas, Zone 7B, it is finally time for me to start putting in my tulip bulbs. I have had a window of opportunity. I could have done this already, but really optimally here for me, the month of December around Christmas time is when I should be planting my tulip bulbs for their best success. And the reason for that is that we still haven't fully defoliated here. We've had a couple of good freezes, but not very many. I still have things with greenery on them. My peach tree still has leaves. My hydrangeas still have leaves. My hostas just all died back like 2 weeks ago from a little frost that came through. So we are really now at the point where we are ready to put some bulbs in the ground. I know that's crazy for some of you. Some of you are already under snow. You've had crazy weather. But for us here in this area, December is really the best time to go. And as a matter of fact, the bulbs that I'm planting today are just bulbs that I've picked up along the way. My huge color blends tulip bulb order that I have in hasn't even arrived to me yet. They don't even ship to me until next week, which is the week of Christmas. So I'll be putting those in probably over Christmas break or the week after Christmas, that big tulip order. So today what we're working on, and that just goes to show you kind of that even with a big company like Color Blends, when you order from reputable companies like that, they'll give you the option to go ahead and order them and they'll ship them to you, or they will say, let us ship these to you at the optimal planting time. For me, it's this week coming up. So what I have is I have been out just scavenging some bulbs because the bulk order of tulips that I got were for the front yard. So I need to do some containers and I need to do some tulips in the ground back here in the garden. So here's what I have got. First, I have some cream flag tulips. So I've got those, and like it says, there are 6 bulbs per bag, and I picked up 4 bags of these. Then I picked up some Don Quixotes. I think that's how you say that. You probably are laughing at me for saying it that way, but Don Quixote, whatever. There are 6 bulbs of here, and I got 4 bags of these as well. Then I picked up some Dutch Dancer. Again, 6 bulbs per bag, and I picked up 3 bags of these. Spring Green. So these are a white tulip with green outlines and veinings. So I thought that was interesting. I have 2 bags of this. Then I have this one here, and this is just a Katharina, just a pure white tulip. There are 8 bulbs in this bag, and I have 1 bag of this. And then the other thing that I picked up was a Dutch iris called Eye of the Tiger. So I have 1 bag of these, and they are 10 bulbs as well. So these can go in the ground now as well for me here. So that is what I am working on in the garden today. And if you can see behind me, one of the things I wanted to point out for me here and for many of us southern gardeners, like I just said, I just had killing frost come through 2 weeks ago. I still have plenty of plants that have not defoliated yet. They still have leaves that they're holding on to. So I have not done my fall cleanup yet. And one of the reasons that I like to hold off on my fall cleanup is because when I get ready to plant my tulips through the garden bed here, I'm going to easily be able to see where I have holes and pockets in the garden that I can throw these bulbs in the ground. So that's like a tip for me to you today, is that if you can hold off on your fall cleanup until it's an appropriate time to put bulbs in the ground for you, that does help, because then you can see where everything is and you can work on putting your bulbs where they're not going to disturb any other plants. So after I get all these tulip bulbs planted today back here, one of my future videos coming up will be cleaning out the beds for fall. And the other thing that I'm going to be doing different this year is, a lot of years I don't do a full fall cleanup. This year I will do a full fall cleanup. Everything's going to get trimmed down because my brand new fence just went in. I know there's a terrible sun glare on it right now. It's hard to see, but that brand new fence just went in. And so the contractors that worked on that fence have trampled a lot of those plant materials that are back there. So I've got to do a big cleanup and just prune a lot of stuff out and get everything ready to flush back up in the spring. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to pot some of these tulip bulbs in a container for you, and we're going to put some of them in the ground, and I'm just going to bring you along to show you how I do that and what products I use. So let me flip the camera around, get set up, and we're going to get right into it. Here we go. Okay, so we are going to start right here with a container. This is one of the containers that goes by my front door. I want this to be just a pretty bulb container in the spring. So I have this thing, as you can see, full of soil because this is still left over from the summer. The plants that were in here in the summer, I trimmed those out, but it left the soil. This soil, some of it will be useful to me, but not all of it. I do need to replace it, because keep in mind, when you are working with a container, all the nutrients that your plants have to utilize is in this container. There is no native soil that they can draw from. There is no native soil where earthworms and mycorrhiza and fungal bacteria can move throughout the soil to recharge that dirt. Everything that's in this pot is all your plants get. And when we have heavy feeding summer annuals in a container, they are going to drain everything out of the soil, okay? So it is better as a gardener to replace your soil annually. And whether that's yearly, bi-yearly, whatever, if you're gonna recharge it, do that kind of stuff. Now, this soil does still have some good bulk mass, so I will use some of it just so that I don't have to completely fill it up with new. And I'm also gonna be adding good nutrients to the pot. So, with all that being said, stage one is I'm going to empty this pot about halfway. So I need to get about half of this soil out. And then what I'm going to do is the remaining half, I'm going to recharge that soil. Then I'm going to get my tulip bulbs in, and then I'm going to put fresh soil on top that has also been charged up. That way these bulbs have plenty of good things that they can get, nutrients that they can get and take up. And this pot and all the soil will be fully charged and ready to go for the spring. So in addition to getting my bulbs planted today, I'm setting the road, I'm setting myself up for success in the spring and summer, because this container will already be ready to go with minimal work. All right, so let me go clean this out. Okay, so I've got the half of the soil emptied out, and I have just really loosened up and got this remaining soil broken up. And the good news is that there is still some life left in the soil at the bottom of the container. Sometimes when you do this, you will find dry, desiccated, just terrible, dusty soils all the way through a container, especially depending on the varieties of plants that you plant in the container. If those roots of those plants reach all the way to the bottom and just pull everything out. This container had some shallow rooted annuals in it for the summer. And so really about the top half of this container is ruined. And so the bottom half is still looking really loose and good and fluffy. So there's still some good life left in that. And it's going to be really good once I charge it. So what am I going to charge it with? If you've been around my channel for a while, you know we are going to go in with Biotone. Okay? Biotone is specifically formulated to charge your soil to create strong root development on your plants. It has fungal mycorrhiza in here that plants require to really grow their roots and pull nutrients out of the soil. It is a wonderful product for that. So we're going to get some of that in here first. All right, and we're going to give that a good mix. Make sure that that's mixed all the way up. Perfect. The next thing we're going to put in here is Dutch bulb food. Now, when you're planting bulbs of any kind, bulbs need energy just like any other plant. And bulb food or bulb tone or whatever bulb branded products you can find are going to work great for this. So they're going to give your bulb the energy they need to get those flowers and leaves up out of the ground. So the root tone is going to let that bulb or any plant get its roots established. And then once those roots are established, they got to have something to eat to feed the rest of the plant. Bulb tone is what we need for bulbs. So we're going to put some of this all in our bulb planting zone. All right, that should be plenty of that right there. So let me bring you in here and show you this. So see, I just sprinkled it all the way around in that pot. Now I'm just going to lightly mix this in just to that top ½ inch layer there where I'm going to be nestling in my bulbs. Okay, perfect. So for this container, I'm going to do a blend of the Don Quixotes and the cream flags. So we're going to open up a pack of our Don Quixotes. Get those in there. Now, with a tulip bulb or any bulb, I've said this before in videos, and if you're have watched any gardening videos, you should know this. Bulbs have a top and a bottom. A lot of bulbs, like a tulip bulb, a daffodil bulb, a hyacinth bulb, they're easy. Even an iris bulb, they're easy. They're teardrop shaped. So the point of the teardrop is where your stem and flower comes out. So you point it towards the top. And the base of your teardrop is where the root crown is, and that's where your roots are going to come from. So we want to put it down. So we're going to put all of these bulbs oriented in the correct direction. Now, there are some people out there who say, oh, it doesn't matter, just throw them out there. The plant's a plant, the plant will grow. That is true to a certain extent. If I planted this bulb sideways, the bulb would figure out that, okay, I'm growing out, but something's not right, and it'll turn and it'll go up. The problem with that is that the bulb has to grow out first, figure out in its orientation where up is, and then turn and go up. So that takes extra energy for your bulb, and it takes extra growing time for that stem and that flower bulb, for that flower bloom to get up. So instead of just being able to come straight up, it's now got to come over, figure out something's not right, and then come up. Or if it's planted upside down, it's got to do a full U shape to get up out of the ground. It just slows down your production. So while, yes, if I threw this in the ground upside down or sideways, of course it's still going to bloom as long as the bulb doesn't rot. But it's just not good practice, and it slows down your flower show, and it takes more energy out of your bulb to course correct, which is going to negatively impact potentially your flower show. So just take a few minutes and orient your bulbs correctly. So we're just going to scatter these in around the pot. No particular order, no rhyme or reason. And now I'm going to take, that was the Don Quixote, right? Yeah. And so now I'm going to do the cream flag. Okay. Some more Don Quixotes. We're going to pack this container out. We'll do 3. Okay, so here's what we have now. You can see that I have layered those in there. So it's almost like putting pepperonis on a pizza. You want to evenly distribute those around your container. Now I'm ready to fill up. So I'm going to be filling up with some fresh potting soil. But I'm also going to be adding some goodies into this fresh potting soil. I'm going to put a little biotone in it, and I'm going to put a little plant tone in there. And plant tone is just a general all-around plant fertilizer. Let me show you that bag. Okay, so there's my plant tone. So why am I putting plant tone if I've already got bulb tone? Well, the plant tone is going to be in the top half of soil, and I'm going to put pansies on top of these bulbs today so that this container looks finished and pretty through the remainder of the winter. And that plant tone will work its way into the bulb zone as well and just be additional fertilizer for those bulbs. But it's also, remember, setting myself up for spring. That plant tone is going to be in this soil and ready to go for my spring planting. So in the spring, all I've got to do is pull the pansies out, put petunias, begonias, marigolds, whatever I'm going to choose to put in this plant that next summer, I can put those right in here. It's full of energy, it's full of nutrients, it's good to go. I'm setting myself up for success now and less work in the spring. So I just got to get this filled up. All right, so what you just saw me do is get all those ingredients mixed up in a side container. That way I could assure that I've got it all nice and mixed up without disturbing the bulbs that I just put in there and arranged. So now I'm just gonna gently cover those bulbs up because I want them to stay right where I have them placed. And then once everything is kind of locked in there, then I can go ahead and get the rest of this good soil in. Okay, so for the top of my container today, I'm going to be, like I said, using pansies. And I'm going to be using a mix of peach shades. So let me show you that, if it'll focus on it. And these just have some beautiful color. And then I also picked up a few of these. And these don't have a tag in them, but they are just a pretty little creamy white with yellow. So these will pair well together. So let's put a few of these out, and then this container is ready to go back to the front door. All right, here we go. Just needs to be watered in and you can get right back to where it was. And now I have a beautiful container to carry me from now all the way through the end of winter. And sorry for those of you up north in really harsh climates. Pansies are a winter annual for us. These pansies will make it all winter long with no issues here in the south. So this container will get me all the way through my tulip bloom, and then after my tulips have bloomed in the late spring, then I can clean this container out and put my fresh spring summer annuals right in this container. All right, let me take care of this container and get it put back. I'm also gonna do my second container. I have an identical one like this that goes at the front door. I won't film that because you've seen it once. And then we've got some tulip bulbs to get in the ground, and I'll show you how we're gonna do that. All right, so the second thing I was gonna show you guys today is planting bulbs in the flower bed. So orientating the bulbs is all the same. Making sure they have good fertilizer is the same. You want to do that. The only difference here is that we're not working in a container, so therefore there's really no need to worry about all the container soil and adding lots and lots and lots of stuff. You just want to give the bulb what it needs, and then hopefully nature will take care of the rest. You can put biotone into your bulb holes as well. I don't feel the need to do that today with mine, but if you have very poor soils in your yard, some biotone and some bulb food with your bulb plantings is an excellent idea. Now, there are a couple of ways to plant bulbs in your yard. You can get a shovel, dig a hole, make a big pit, line them out. You can get little manual bulb planters. They look like rings that you punch into the ground like a giant hole punch to pull some soil out and put the bulbs in. Or you can use an auger. I've showed this before on videos. This is a standard auger that you can buy at any hardware store. They make bulb specific augers. You can definitely look for those. This is just a standard auger. A bulb auger has a little bit of a different tip and the circles aren't quite as big. But when you're dealing with bigger bulbs, sometimes a standard auger is better. Like if you're dealing with if you're trying to plant a giant allium bulb or something, you know, that's a big circumference, you probably want a bigger auger, but whatever you use is fine. This is really a very simple, easy method, and it goes fairly quick. So like I said a minute ago, I've got all my fall cleanup work still to do. So I can see right here in this area, you know, I've got a hardy hibiscus here that hasn't been pruned back. I've got a strawberry pot here, and I've got some perennials right here that are poking up. But right here, amongst my ground cover, I've got a good empty spot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of pull around in here, around my ground cover, and then I'm just gonna drill me a hole where it's appropriate. Okay, so this is one hole I've got put in. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bulb food right into the hole. And then I'm just gonna take my bulb, orient it the correct way, and get it down in the hole. And get it planted. And there you go. So now I just have to do that quite a few more times around the garden. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. We're gonna wind it up right here. There's no reason for me to continue filming myself putting bulbs throughout the garden. Now that you've seen it one time there with the auger drill, it's just a matter of putting myself on repeat over and over again and getting it done. So I won't bore you guys to death with that. But I do hope you have enjoyed today's video. Maybe it has taught you something or inspired you to get out into your gardens. If your ground is not frozen solid yet, you can probably still plant bulbs, especially my southern gardening friends. If you're down here in the 7-8 zone with me, go find you some bulbs. It's not too late to get them in the ground. Now's the time of year where if box stores still have them, they're probably going to be on sale. I know your major bulb companies are starting to have sales, like Holland Bulb Farms, Color Blends, whatever stock they have left is now's the time to pick up some things, and you can go ahead and get things and get them in the ground and still have time for a beautiful spring display. If you're up north, you can still do containers, get your containers going. Even if your ground is frozen, maybe you can still pop some tulips in containers and still have a beautiful spring display at your home and garden. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave those down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Give this video a thumbs up if you'd enjoyed it. But until next time, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.